They discuss the dangers, the alternatives, the complications, the risks, the benefits. It is crucial that a patient go in informed right that time, before the procedure, before the sedation, before the anesthetic agent is used, and with written informed consent sign that they willingly acknowledge the dangers. And no such document was found or created. This is an extreme violation of the standard of care. This alone amounts to gross negligence. Requires charting and documenting all vital signs, dosages, at least every 5 minutes. This is not only for the benefit of the doctor at scene so they can go back to their chart and realize what they gave at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, so they don't have to guess. It is also absolutely crucial in a setting such as this when emergency personnel are responding and seeking out the truth and they cannot find the truth. No medical documents were recovered, and when they were subpoenaed and requested, the only documents provided related to care months, if not years before. No medical records documented any of this care at 100 North Carrollwood. This is an extreme, egregious violation and represents gross negligence standing alone. Basic common sense requires that 911 be called immediately. Basic common sense. And we know that was not done. This is another extreme deviation from the standard of care and amounts to gross negligence. Also, note the relationship between the doctor and the patient. There was no doctor-patient relationship. There was no relationship in which the doctor uses his medical judgment, his medical knowledge to advise the patient, to refuse inappropriate care, to walk away if that is the only option, but to have a doctor-patient relationship where the doctor is in charge of the care to be administered. And if it is not appropriate care, then the doctor does not provide it. No, what the evidence shows existed here was an employer-employee relationship, where Conrad Murray was working not for the best interest of Michael Jackson, not for the health of Michael Jackson. Dr. Murray was working for $150,000 a month. He was an employee. He acted as an employee. He did not act as a medical professional using sound medical judgment. In an egregious and unethical violation of the standard of care, the evidence shows Conrad Murray deceived the paramedics. When specifically asked what agents had been given, he never once mentioned propofol. As a team of paramedics worked to bring Michael back to life, Conrad Murray remained silent as to the propofol he had administered. This is an extreme, unethical, and unconscionable violation of the standard of care and is by itself gross negligence. But this was repeated once again upon his arrival to UCLA, where he deceived the emergency room doctors. When specifically asked by Dr. Wynn, when specifically asked by Dr. Cooper what had been administered, Conrad Murray mentioned lorazepam. He made no mention of propofol to these doctors trying to save Michael's life. You will hear from the doctors about these levels of gross negligence, and you will hear their opinions in which they state that almost nothing the defendant did reflects the actions of a trained physician. It instead represents the actions of an unskilled, non-medically trained individual. You will hear from an expert who will tell you that the multiple breaches of the standard of care directly contributed to Michael Jackson's untimely death. You will hear from the experts that the defendant acted with gross negligence, indicating a far greater concern for himself than his patient. And you will hear that Murray's primary use of his medical training and licensure was to give Jackson access to unlimited supplies of propofol that he administered with complete disregard for Michael Jackson's safety, and for Michael Jackson's life. And put most simply, you will hear that Conrad Murray acted with gross negligence and an extreme departure from the standard of care and was a cause of Michael Jackson's death. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a summary of the evidence you will hear in this case. The defense will obviously have an opportunity to present evidence. They will have an opportunity to present an opening statement if they so desire. Regardless of what is presented by the defense in this case, there are certain facts that will be beyond dispute. There will be certain facts that will remain unchanged and unchallenged. Conrad Murray, as the doctor on scene, had a legal duty of care to use his best medical judgment to do no harm to Michael Jackson. Conrad Murray, with his eyes on the anticipated $150,000 lucrative contract, instead agreed to provide Michael massive amounts of propofol on a regular basis in complete disregard of all acceptable standards of medical care. The evidence will also remain unchanged